Howdy guys, Radio Magic here. I hope you are all having a fantastic morning, day, afternoon or evening, wherever you are and whatever you are up to. Today we are back on the channel testing how viable is Control in the historic meta, whether you're climbing to Mythic, maybe you're already in Mythic and you're just looking to make your opponent's lives as miserable as possible. Well, we have the Control list somewhere for you on the channel. Today we're actually making our opponent's lives a little bit less miserable than one would typically assume with a Control list, because we're back playing some Grixis Control, maybe Grixis Midrange, depending on how you want to call it. It's probably like right on that cusp of like what is defined as Midrange and Control. We could split hairs over it, but I'm going to call it Control for the sake of the series that we're doing at the moment. We have got our Control elements here with Nicol Bolas the Dragon God and Nicol Bolas the Ravager and Chandra as well. But then we've got our mid-range bits with like Glorybringer and Bone Crusher Giant as well. So yeah, capable of playing both of them roles. I'm going to go over a real quick deck tech and sort of talk about some of the cards we've included, though it is really similar to the last Grixis list we played on the channel. But if you're not interested in hearing that, go down with the description below and you will find timestamps for all of the games that we have played. Like always, we just play games 4 or 5 back to back. Regardless of misplays, how it works out, so you guys can get a real feel of what Grixis is like, or whatever Control list we're playing is like when climbing the ladder, or if we're already in Mythic, then you get a feel of that. We're not currently in Mythic at the moment, we're still moving through Platinum, just because I haven't played that much this season, and the decks we've been playing haven't been too strong, or maybe I've just been being really poor with them, but either way, we are not in Mythic at the moment. So, real quick deck tech, we've got our normal interaction that was playing very similar in the last Grixis list. We haven't changed in terms of our hand hate. We're still running 3 Inquisitions and 2 Four.Vs, and this has mainly gone lower on the Four.Vs, so we're not shocking ourselves as much. And I find Inquisition typically hits most of the things in the meta that you want to get, and that disruption early is normally more than enough. Then we got like Blood Chiefs first as well, was a really cheap spell against things like Gruul, but can also reach much higher. Can be a semi-Vraska's Contempt without the benefit of the 2 life in the late game. So it's good in like the mirror match or just other Control lists, as well as just mid-range lists as well. And then final interaction is Vraska's Contempt, which is you could play this or you could play the new one. It slips my mind. It's either 4 mana to exile a creature, or you can pay 2 mana for the like student cost, and your opponent draws a card. I've decided to go Vraska's Contempt instead, mainly because we're not running Narset, so you haven't got that wombo combo of like doing it in your opponent's turn so they can't draw the extra card. So gone with Vraska's Contempt. I think it's also relevant as well for the life gain. I don't know, I'm always really happy with that. And then, yeah, I guess the final bit of interaction we're running, which kind of interaction like Prismari Command and Bone Crusher Giant. Bone Crusher Giant, just obviously excellent card across the board. Deals 2 damage, and then you can play the Bone Crusher Giant out. Really good against Gruul, especially if you're on the play. You can shock their Llanowar Elves, your Pelt Collector, and then play it on turn 3 and block their, I guess, one of their triple Burning Tree emissaries. So yeah, and Prismari Command, similar thing, can shock, but you can also like filter through cards as well. One of the problems I think Grixis finds a lot of the time is it really struggles with card draw. A lot of the time you're sitting with like 2 lands in hand or 3 lands, you just can't find them extra lands, or you're just drawing far too many lands. Unlike Jeskai and Azorius, they have a really good job at like, they're with like brainstorms and things like that, filtering through their list, and they've got Narsets as well and fairies just for more card advantage that I think Grixis can't necessarily keep up with if you're taking it in the direction I've decided to take it. And it's got that added benefit of being able to ramp us as well, so we can go turn 3 Prismari Command into turn 5 Nicol Bolas if we want to, or Glorybringer, Crux of Fate, however we want to play that. We're also running Mind Stone as well. I've decided to go up on the Mind Stones. I don't think we're running them in the last list, but Mind Stone just feels really good in this. Like, you get to go turn 2 Mind Stone into turn 3 Nicol Bolas the Ravager or Chandra or Vraska's Contempt. It's just really, really good. Unfortunately, Mind Stone doesn't help us cast Nicol Bolas the Dragon God, but that being said, we can just cycle like Mind Stone in the later game as well. So it's not a mana rock that's just completely dead. So I like it for that reason as well. We're then running like our main deck graveyard hate is Cling to Dust. So normally you'd be running like Cage or Soul Guide Lantern or something like that. But I've decided because we're in black, we're going to run Cling. Cling, I think it's like overall really good card. In the matchups where it's like dead and it's not going to hate on your opponent's graveyard, you can at least draw with it. And then in the late game, it's your escape card for like, say you've got like 10 cards in your graveyard or something, you can just escape this, draw your extra card. Or if you're against like Burn or Gruul, maybe you need to gain a bit of life in a jiffy. Cling to Dust can do that for you, so I've decided to include that. I think regardless of the direction you decide to take Grixis in, you're probably playing some number of Clings, whether they're in the main or sideboard, and I think it's probably better to put them in the main. We went down on a Crux of Fate as well, just because, like, I think it's really good. Just, I don't know, running extra board wipes in the sideboard. Had to make room for some of the other inclusions. Doesn't work with Bone Crusher Giant, but still, I think it's worth a shot. There's definitely going to be situations where you get to keep your Glorybringer or the Ravager and your opponent loses their whole board, so I think definitely worth playing it. We also sorted out our mana as well. For anyone who really wanted to watch the Grixis video last time on the channel, go check that out. I'll put a little thing at the top right now. Yeah, our mana was really awful. We played way too many blue sources, when if you look at this, I think we're just like splashing blue, 9 blue sources, but we're basically playing Rakdos. We decided to sort out our mana this time, so we're playing a lot less blue, and it's a bit sorted. Sideboard, pretty much normal stuff. I'm not sure on the Soul Guide Lantern, maybe we just want to run an extra Cling, but it's just a little bit extra if we need it. A bit of interaction with Aether Gust, and normally any list that's running blue, which is pretty much every list we play on the channel, we're running Aether Gust, so it's there. Negates, because we haven't got vetoes. Chandra, I know not everyone's a fan of Chandra Awakened Inferno, but I love her for the mirror match when you're trying to play around counter magic. Negates, yeah, Mystical Disputes. We're playing a one-off Chaos Warp as well, because why not? This is one of the lists we can play this, give it a go, see how it works. One Mystical Dispute, Abrades for early interaction or artifacts if we need to answer them. Maybe opponents on like Bolas's Citadel or something. And then Shadow's Verdict, even though Jund and Rakdos Sacrifice isn't really a thing anymore, doesn't really pop up that much. We still want to maybe have them extra board wipes as well. So this is the direction we've decided to go on. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, whether this is the direction you take Grixis or maybe you'd go a different way. Yeah, and I will catch you again at the end with a wrap-up. Okay, so we're on the play for game 1 with Grixis Control, and I'm really excited actually to be playing some Glorybringers and some creatures in our control list, or I guess mid-range list, however you want to call it. The combination of things like powerful Planeswalkers, Nika Bolas and Glorybringer, yeah, I like it. But I think we're going to keep this hand. 2 lands, yeah, I could probably do with the 3rd at some point, but we've got some good interaction, hopefully to slow our opponent down, and some pretty good threats in the late game. So providing we can find some lands or like a Mind Stone or something, then should all be good. Got our mana sorted this time as well compared to last time by Canyon Sleuths. Okay, so opponents on like Golgari, maybe Sultai. I'm not sure what our opponent's going to take here because they can't stop both of our hand hate spells. Just going to go for the threat with Nika Bolas. Seems good. So, yeah, we'll start with Inquisition. Have a look what our opponent's up to. Okay, so opponent's got like nothing going on. Guess we'll just take this Thoughtseize. I think we'll probably just hold on to our Thoughtseize for a little bit. Like, I don't really want to spend 2 life just to get rid of the Abundant Harvest. And I think we'll maybe keep information a bit more hidden. And yeah, we'll just hold on to Thoughtseize and do it in like a few turns. Yeah, I don't really see the point in taking one of these. Like, opponent has their red source, so we could always, like, Thoughtseize now, take the Bone Crusher Giant, seems okay. And then we can, I guess we can still Stomp if Arena taps our mana correctly, and then next turn we can just play the Bone Crusher Giant out. Just take their Bone Crusher Giant, and then we'll shock ourselves. Don't know if it's right to shock ourselves there. Might be better just to hold the Stomp for something more relevant. Also, it could be correct just to hold the Thoughtseize for when our opponent Abundant Harvests again. Naming non-land, they could hit something much better. Still got Vraska's Contempt for this. So opponent's on like Jund. So yeah, we will just Stomp here, and then if we hit a land, could Vraska's Contempt maybe. But if we don't hit land, then at least we can play the Bone Crusher Giant out. Opponent does have the removal spell for it, but we'll make our opponent use it. They're not using it on Glorybringer then. And if we ever do draw our lands, then yeah, Glorybringer's going to be able to answer this Magmatic Channeler just by exerting. So opponent hit 2 lands. Maybe opponent's on just some sort of value mid-range list, which, yeah, maybe we're quite tailored to beat. I think we're just going to... Do you want to Vraska's Contempt this? It looks like from their list so far that they're going to have like maybe just like a mid-range list. They're going to have threats like Bone Crusher Giant that we can kill the Glorybringer anyway, and if we don't have to exert them, we'd rather not. So I'd rather just I think Vraska's can tempt this now, just so our opponent can't get an extra 2 cards. And yeah, if we draw a land, then Nicol Bolas is going to be fantastic. Do we start with Nicol Bolas? It's unlikely that opponent's going to have a counter spell. I mean, they're not in the colours for counter magic anyway, so hopefully, yeah, well, opponent's just going to scoop it up, so I guess it was the right choice, but if our opponent removes that, then we've, like, 3-for-1 them. Okay, so how do we want to sideboard against what our opponent's up to? They look like just like a Jund mid-range, maybe. I don't know. They're probably doing something special somewhere along the way, but maybe like Aethergust is going to be good. Like, opponent's running black, it looks like, just for interaction at the moment. So, like, hitting a Bonecrusher Giant's not great with an Aethergust, but I'm not sure. Like, Shadow's Verdict could be good. Hits probably a lot of what our opponent's up to. Then our opponent could be on, like, Elder Gargroths and things like that. I really don't know how we want to board here. Is there anything we, like, don't want in this matchup? Maybe, like, Clings? It's like a bit of passive life gain, but don't know if our opponent's doing anything with their graveyard at the moment. Maybe we can take them out just until we see more of what our opponent's up to. And I'm kind of thinking, like, Aethergust or a Braid, but it's probably Aethergust is probably just better. But I don't know if it's going to be good. I just think it's normally best to sideboard. It's unlikely that your first 60 is going to be the perfect cards when you've got 15 other to choose from. So it's probably best to sideboard something in. Could also, if we were cutting the Clings, maybe bring in the Soul Guide Lantern, just in case. And then at least we have a way to cycle it. I guess that Cling just does a better job than that. So we'll just run it like this and see how we get on. Okay, so we're missing red mana, unfortunately. But I think this hand is still a keep. We've got quite a bit of interaction. And then Nicol Bolas to finish off our curve. Okay, so maybe opponent's missing land drops. Okay, so we will just start with this Inquisition. Always lead with the Inquisition. Oh, opponent's got, yeah, like, just looks like a mid-range list. So we take Inquisition here, and then our opponent can't. I guess we're never casting this Nicol Bolas now. We're just going to be trying to get our lands out. So probably take their Inquisition, and then we can Thoughtseize the Davriel or the Liliana away. Probably Liliana, I guess. And then our opponent's just going to go blank our entire hand. Okay, opponent top deck the Thoughtseize. So yeah, Castle Locthwain's probably going to be quite good here. Okay, so we need to make sure we get down all of our lands. Opponent doesn't have a land actually for a free drop at the moment. I guess we'll probably just not worry too much about information and make sure we just get our red source down. And then probably lead with like Catacombs, Castle Locthwain, I'm not sure. So we can Inquisition one of these go blanks away, but still doesn't feel that great. So yeah, we can take one of the go blanks. Or do we just want to hold it to discard? Yeah, Davriel will make us discard, then go blank will make us discard 2 more, and then we just have the Castle Locthwain, so probably just holding it. And then we need to find an answer to Davriel, but with Castle Locthwain, like, might not be too bad. Like, so we'll discard Nicol Bolas. There's no way we're casting it here. And settling on 4 mana. Unfortunately, we're missing our double red for Chandra, but we should be able to cast most things that we draw. Yeah, a little bit worried about our position, but... think we just want to draw. Probably better just to draw here. This is 2 or fewer. Opponent's going to make us discard, but at least we won't take the damage from Liliana this turn. Yeah, we're going to need a little bit of help here. Take a bit of damage. I guess we'll make sure we get down our double red. And then, yeah, Liliana's just going to make us discard each turn. Yeah, looks like just Jund. Just Jund value, but I don't think we want the Ether Gusts. They've probably seen quite poor here. I think we might want our Braids. I'm not sure. Yeah, we'll just draw and take one. Glowbringer's a good one. Probably just... Do we just smack... So they'll be able to kill... I guess if we hit the Glowbringer, we can exert on the Rada. And hit Liliana. Liliana will tick up. We'll lose our Crux of Fate, but... Yeah, I think that's fine. Not sure whether we exert here. I think we are going to exert. Just so we don't take tons of damage on the way back. Get our value as well in case our opponent finds an answer to Glowbringer. It might be correct just to take the 3 from Rada. Hopefully they don't have lands on the top. Just so we can guarantee answer the Liliana next turn. Yeah, so just ship it back. So our opponent's gonna trade in their Liliana for our Glowbringer, which I don't think that's not that bad. Like, ultimately, I think it was probably better to exert the Glowbringer, knowing that our opponent's gonna tick down the Liliana. Just because we wanted to answer the Liliana anyway, but this way we get to answer the Rada as well. Okay, so opponent's just gonna redraw. Not doing it instant speed. Maybe they're hoping for something. I don't know. 1 drop here. Abundant Harvest, maybe. So we'll take our 2, and then we'll take some damage from Davriel. But we might get to a point now where we don't have to take any more damage from Davriel. I mean, we can probably play out 1 more land. Well, I mean, we can keep playing as long as we keep... It's 2 or fewer, isn't it? 1 or fewer. Sorry, that's why I thought I was going to take damage. So yeah, I think we're okay. Now, we want to keep getting our cards out so we take less damage of Castle Lochwain. Yeah, we have a ton of black. Probably just play some red. We don't need loads of blue. Yeah, need to find something. Davriel's not an issue now. Okay, opponent found another Liliana. We don't have our negates, which might be actually something we want. Then yeah, we shouldn't take damage off Davriel because we'll draw. Take our 2. The opponent discard their own Davriel. Okay, opponent's just gonna trade it in now. Works for me. Just take 1 damage instead. Yeah, Ether Gust I think was probably a mistake bringing in. Don't need that, but live and learn, I guess. We didn't know what our opponent was up to. Not really a meta deck. But yeah, Ether Gust probably coming straight out. I don't know what we're bringing in for it. Could keep in Arkling to Dust. I actually think Arkling to Dust is not awful. I also think Crux of Fate might not be great here as well. We might want our other board wipe instead. Shadow's Verdict, just to be able to answer Davriel. Find an answer. I mean, Glowbringer is an answer. I don't think we want to shock here. I think we just want to hold the land in hand. Let's just attack. Want to hold the land in hand just to discard to Liliana. And then if our opponent doesn't find an answer to the Glowbringer, we can finish off Liliana next turn. Yeah, they found an answer. Think we're just going to pass the turn. If we find another Glorybringer, I think we've gone through... How many have we gone through now? Just 2. So yeah, if we find another Glorybringer, we can still finish off the Liliana. But I don't want to run the risk of... opponent can't do it. I don't want to run the risk of drawing something of Castle Locthwain that we can't cast, and we have to take the extra damage. But yeah, we're slowly dying here. Very slowly. Our opponent's not even playing their lands out first. I'm not sure why not. There's no clause for... Yeah, each player discards. I assume our opponent would play their land, but... Maybe not. Nicol Bolas is a good one. Think we're just going to tick up. Not really worried about discarding our land. And we'll hold land in hand so we don't have to discard the Glorybringer. I like what our opponent's doing. I really like the Jund value thing. The only problem is that it's just been a little bit slow. Okay, so yeah, we can attack with Glorybringer, Prismari Command. I guess we can just make a treasure, deal 2 damage to the Liliana, and Glorybringer exert, finish off Liliana, and then we get to tick up Nicol Bolas that way. Just to keep Nicol Bolas' loyalty high. So, yeah, go to combat. I'm always worried about the exert. Yeah, take out that channeler. Go to damage. We'll deal 2 damage and we'll just create a treasure. I'd rather hold on to this Nicol Bolas in case our opponent top decks a removal spell for ours. If Nicol Bolas gets a few more activations, it's just going to be over. But sweet, yeah, I think both games of that Nicol Bolas is locking it away. Still really, really strong. Yeah, this hand looks really reasonable. We've got all of our mana, we've got Inquisition for interaction on turn 1, and then Prismari Command can hopefully discard some irrelevant cards, maybe answer something that our opponent's up to, and then a late game threat with Nicol Bolas. Which, let's be honest, the reason we're playing Grixis is to play Nicol Bolas. Okay, so Gruul Aggro. How do we want to disrupt what our opponent's up to? We could take away their turn 2 play. I guess they're always going to have a turn 2 play with Scavenging Ooze and Volcanic Brawler. So maybe we'll just take in the Pelt Collector. And then we can Prismari Command whatever they play on 2. Just sort of mitigate as much damage as possible. We'll just play our Water Grave next turn. Okay, no worries. Opponent found it off the top. That's fine. Yeah, either way, we're just going to go tapped here. Might just exile our own Inquisition here just to draw. Or maybe we just want to discard this to the Prismari Command. Yeah, a little bit painful that our opponent found the Llanowar Elves. Not going to lie about that. Feel like we might just exile Inquisition here. Just have a redraw. It just feels wrong, just like... I think we're just going to play this on red and get ready to Prismari Command. It feels wrong, like, getting the Llanowar Elves now. I mean, if our opponent has... If this is a land or the other one's a land, then our opponent gets to go double 2-drop. But I think I'm just going to try and answer whatever our opponent plays, and hopefully they don't play the Scavenging Ooze. Yeah, so they had land. So they get to go... Well, let's see what they do, actually. Could Prismari Command now, the Llanowar Elves, and their opponent only gets to do 1 thing this turn? I don't know how we feel about that. And then we'll probably just make it a treasure as well. And then with the treasure, actually, we might just go stomp whatever our opponent does. And then play the Bone Crusher Giant, maybe. And then next turn we set up for Nicol Bolas anyway. So I think we will just try and slow our opponent down here. And just deal 2 damage and create a treasure. If we had a board wipe in hand or one was coming up, then yeah, maybe it'd go down a little bit differently. Opponent gonna use this mana to stomp, I guess. This works out better for us if our opponent decides to go Scavenging Ooze now, because they won't be able to activate it, but they probably go Volcanic Brawler just to make that work. Makes a bit of sense. So yeah, I think what we're going to do is we're going to do a shock here. Shock the Brawler, and then just use the treasure to play out the Bone Crusher Giant. And then next turn, I guess we'll shock in just to play Nicol Bolas, but I don't want to play Nicol Bolas onto a board that he's just going to die straight away. So we'll see. If an opponent can go double creature here, it's kind of bad, I guess. Okay, yeah. Kind of bad. I guess we're still like playing Nicol Bolas here. We just tick up. We get to answer something that opponent's going on, and they have to hit him down, I guess. Or we just play him and shoot the Bone Crusher Giant, but then our opponent's going to have like an infinitely large Scavenging Ooze. Do we tick up here or tick down? It's a shame our opponent tapped like the Llanowar Elves. If we shoot Bone Crusher Giant here, our opponent gets to finish off Nicol Bolas, play Scavenging Ooze, and then make Scavenging Ooze into a 3/3, and then next turn it'll be 4, 5, 6 power. So we'll be taking 7 next turn. If we choose to tick up, then we stay on 10. Our opponent still plays the Scavenging Ooze, but we get to redraw. If we find like a removal spell, it works out okay. It's probably just better to answer the Bone Crusher Giant, isn't it? Yeah, and this way, like, a single removal spell gets us out of a situation, rather than needing 2 removal spells. Yeah, Llanowar Elves, just a shame there that opponent had it. It might have been correct just not to play the Nicol Bolas. Okay, opponent has it all here. Yep, not good, not good. I think we're just dead, actually. Yeah, Llanowar Elves, I think, just dudded us in there, because being able to come down the Nicol Bolas, tick down, just kill the Bone Crusher Giant would have been great. But what's this going to be? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6. Yeah, I think we're just dead here, aren't we? I guess they can activate twice. Get 1 draw, I think. Did our opponent not exile a creature last turn? Oh, they exiled our Cling to Dust. Yep, so we can chump block the Scavenging Ooze, but we're still dead. So scoop it up there. Yeah, like I said, Llanowar Elves was really unfortunate there. Our opponent needed exactly a 1-drop to interact with us. Or I guess they needed like a haste threat on the other side. But we know what we're doing in this matchup. Bringing in our Braids, bringing in our Aether Gusts. And things were cutting. Like, Nicol Bolas doesn't feel that great. Like, the Ravager is like a good blocker, but it's like we're not blocking against an Embercleave either way. And Bolas probably not that great. Prismari Command, we're bringing in enough interaction, I think. Because I kind of want to bring in these Shadows Verdicts maybe as well. Maybe cutting like Four.Vs to bring in Shadows Verdicts. I don't really want to lose the life. And Four.Vs is a really bad top deck when your opponent's empty-handed. I think we want to keep the Cling to Dust as like some passive life gain and just to redraw if we want. I actually think like Nicol Bolas might be better than Chandra. Maybe cut Chandra instead. If we had 1 more land, this hand would be pretty good, I think, especially with Mind Stone, but I don't think we can keep a hand 1 land. This hand's still okay. Maybe put the Steam Vents on the bottom. Might be a little bit greedy, but we get to Blood Chiefs first on turn 2, I guess, if we want, or we can stomp something and then play out the Bone Crusher Giant. So I'm probably just going to put Steam Vents on the bottom. Yeah, shame about that first hand. I think it would have been really, really good had we have had just 1 extra land in it. The Mind Stone just made it playable, I think. Yeah, 100% going to not waste any time with this. We're going to shock this down. just slow our opponent down. And then, yeah, next turn we're either going to be Blood Chiefs first, which I assume my opponent's got double or triple Burning Tree here. So we'll probably just play the Bone Crusher Giant. Bone Crusher Giant, and then guess we'll shock ourselves next turn then, if we need to. I actually think we have like a relatively good matchup against Gruul. Unlike other control lists where you have like very limited creatures and interaction, you need to rely on hitting all of your interaction in rapid succession to be able to stop your opponent. But because we've got some pretty beefy creatures, we actually have the potential to block some of what our opponent's got going on. Yeah, 100% taking down that Lana Elves. Yeah, how many are they going to chain? 2. 2 in Lana Elves. Fortunately, our Bone Crusher Giant can block, but unfortunately, if our opponent has another red source, then I guess they can just Ember Cleave us next turn. Opponent's got something for 1 red. Just holding priority for something. Yeah, opponent's off to like an incredibly fast start. This is sort of the kind of nut draw for them. Could hold the Ether Gust to stop our Ember Cleave, but I don't think we can live our lives like that. Because otherwise we're just taking 5. So we'll hope here. Depends on what our opponent does. We could like Blood Cheese first next turn and maybe like Ether Gust if we wanted to. If our opponent goes red source here and attacks a ball, then we obviously know that the Ember Cleave's coming. But if they go red source, yeah, I think if our opponent has Ember Cleave, we're probably just dead. We probably need to Blood Cheese first, whatever they put the Ember Cleave on. Okay, on Crop Crasher. So opponent's going to exert here just to get through. Looks like our opponent doesn't have land. So I guess we're going to hope that our opponent doesn't... Yeah, I think we're definitely going to hope that our opponent doesn't have another land next turn. And then if we can untap, then we either get to Crux of Fate if we find a land, which I think is probably game over for our opponent. Or we at least get to hold up the Ether Gust to stop the Ember Cleave. I don't think we're going to attack the Bone Crusher Giant here in case our opponent has another on Crop Crasher. Okay, Questing Beast. Yeah, opponent's got some goodies that we need to be a bit scared of. I don't know what this means if opponent's just attacking with 1. I guess since we could have Crux of Fate, we'll just block the Bone Crusher Giant. If opponent wants to finish it off with a Stomp, I think that's fine. Yeah, so top decking a land here would be really good. No land, unfortunately. Do we just have to... I think we just have to tap down here. I think if our opponent had Ember Cleave, they would have gone for it last turn. So I think we're just going to kick this and take out the on-Crop Crasher. And sit back, I guess. If we find land, like, it's fantastic. Like, sitting back works out really well for us, I think. If our opponent doesn't attack here. No land, unfortunately. I think we're going to sit back again. Bone Crusher Giant's going to be coming in, though. And I think we don't want to block the Bone Crusher Giant. I think we want to give it 1 more turn. Because, yeah, Crux of Fate's just going to be so good on this board. Yeah, I mean, like, got a top deck land here. If there was a time to top deck a land, it was now. No land, unfortunately. So what, we're, I guess, putting away the Gruul Spellbreaker. Well, it doesn't really work. Yeah, I don't know what the play is here. I think we're just dead, aren't we? Can answer 2 things, take 4, 5, 6, 7, exactly. Really needed to just find land. Deck did not want to give it to us. I actually think our matchup against Gruul is not awful. Just shame how that went down. Okay, so we are on the play for the third time today, so getting pretty lucky where we want to be. And it looks like from our opponent's companion that they're probably on control, and I think this hand looks really good anyway. Just going to play out this pathway, I guess. Inquisition, turn 2 Mind Stone, and then if we find our blue source, which hopefully we do, we can play Nico Bolas. So we'll keep this. And we'll have a look what our opponent's up to, but got to presume it's control. Tis control. Lightning Helix is going to be fine. I think we can let our opponent keep that. We'll just take the Brainstorm. Opponent's got Fable Passage, so essentially 1 mana, draw 3. Just get down Mind Stone, and then hopefully we can, next turn, depends how our opponent goes, they might just go tap land Temple here. Nope. Okay, I think we are just going to run out Nico Bolas. Like a memory lapse here. That'd be unfortunate. I guess Sensor would be worse. I actually think those Sensor would have been better. Don't want to be time locked. I'd rather draw the land. Yeah, get rid of that. Lightning Helix, no good against the Ravager. Off to a pretty good start, though. This is why we're running so many Mind Stones, just so we can accelerate into a 4-drop. Doesn't help us cast Nico Bolas, unfortunately. The Dragon God, sorry. See what our opponent's up to. But might just cling, and then I could just see activating Castle Lothlwain as well. Just to attempt to draw. Okay, so we get to draw here. Yeah, so we'll do some bits and bobs and see what we can do. Don't know if it's relevant. Okay, well, we'll just create the treasure now. Draw 2, I guess, and create a treasure. I say draw 2, we do have to discard 2 as well. Yeah, discard... I guess discard a Vraska's Contempt is fine. Want to keep 1 land. Maybe we could have got rid of the lands, actually, and just held on to the Vraska's Contempt, but I definitely want to hold on to double Nico Bolas here, because even if we just get 1 activation of Nico Bolas, our opponent answers it, and then we get another Nico Bolas activation, I think that's just going to be too much for Jeskai to handle. And we've got our Cling for a little bit of card advantage in the late game, if our opponent can play through both of our Nico Bolases. So our tick up with Nico Bolas won't draw us a card, but it's still good enough, I think, that just exile one of our opponent's permanents. Crux not too good. I think we are just going to tick up with Nico Bolas. Is that right? Could tick down Nico Bolas and then just play another one. Opponent could have memory lapse, I guess. I guess if we tick down, it sort of stops our opponent from drawing a card anyway, and then we play another one. If our opponent has a memory lapse, that's fine. I guess, because we're drawing again next turn. And if our opponent plays Teferi, Tux, then we have the Prismari command to finish off. So I think we'll actually just shoot Nasa here. I'm just not sure if we play out another Nico Bolas here, or we just wait. I guess our opponent could have Lightning Helix. So probably best to just play out another Nico Bolas, just to give us a bit of insurance. I guess the pause might have been a bit greater. Opponents may be stuck on wild cards, which is why they're not running Wheel Shock here, just in case we want a Prismari command, which is why they're running Shatter instead of Wrath. Yep. Opponent Tux here works out really well for us. Just get to finish off Teferi and draw back into our Nico Bolas. So yeah, we'll deal 2 and draw 2. And then we get to draw back into our Nicol Bolas and then finish off Teferi. Our opponent's in a similar situation they were just in. Discard Crux and I guess discard land. Yeah, we had a really, really fast start there, which was pretty good for us, but always good. It's one of the matchups where it's like the only reason that Chandra's in the board. Blanche's first is probably fine to cut. This is definitely not one of our matchups where we're too happy to have Cling. No, trim a Cling and trim a Glory Bringer, I think. I don't think there's anything else we want to bring in. Could bring in Chaos Warp. That's just a pretty good answer to what our opponent's probably got going on. And hopefully they hit a non-permanent off the top. Not sure what we're cutting. Maybe Bone Crusher Giant? I actually think against Jeskai Control, this hand is fine. We'll cycle this Canyon Sleuth, and Chandra's just amazing to have. Mind Stone's really good as well. Not sure if our opponent decides to memory lapse it on turn 2. Or I guess they're not memory lapsing it, they're brainstorming here. Yeah, Mind Stone's actually just great here. Like, I'd actually take another Mind Stone. Okay, so opponent, looks like they didn't have any Brainstorm and, yeah, stuck on lands as well. We're just going to play out more lands, I guess. Cycle, got Negate. Feel relatively good about our position, especially since our opponent's a bit caught on mana. I mean, you keep a 2-land on the play, and this can definitely happen. Oh, opponent's playing Pathways. Yeah, Dragon Guard's good. I guess no reason to shock ourselves. And then, I don't know, do we probably play out Chandra next turn? It depends what our opponent does. If they tap down. I guess since our opponent's caught on lands, happy to just stop this. If our opponent's got the Mystical Dispute or some way to answer this negate, then we get to just lead with our Nicol Bolas next turn. Because we want to play Chandra on a turn that our opponent tries to leave up counter magic. It works out really bad if our opponent goes land, blue source, untap blue source into Mystical Dispute. Yeah, I'm aware it's my go, my opponent. Thank you. Probably just going to go with Chandra here. Don't want to not press our advantage. Because if our opponent goes to Fairy next turn, then at least we get to just play Nicol Bolas, tick down onto Fairy. We'll just start clocking our opponent. Jeskai doesn't have too many answers to big mana 6 Chandra. Just got, like, I guess you could cycle a Shark Typhoon. I don't think it really runs Cast Out anymore. Or in my experience, you don't really run Cast Out. 4 mana instant speed removal is not really good enough. Okay, Gideon's an okay one. Okay, so prevents all damage that it would be deal. So Chandra deals X damage, so that would be prevented. So we'll just keep ticking up. And I think we'll just play Nicol Bolas and tick up. This is what we want to do. Maybe Grixis should just be a Super Friends list. Just play out another Mind Stone. And probably get to a point where we start cycling these eventually. But yeah, now a shock every turn. The Chandra actually is a little bit more threatening. Obviously, I think 3 or 4 is like the sweet spot, but our opponent can't sit around and do nothing, and with them shocking themselves. Pretty good. I haven't seen Fry in a while as well. Okay, I assumed that our opponent would at least attack with Gideon into the Chandra to put some pressure. Gonna cycle one of these Mind Stones. And now with our opponent getting, well, with us getting a free lightning strike on our opponent each turn, difficult to imagine a way outside of, I guess, like of Approach of the Second Sun back to back. If they go at Chandra here, I'm more than happy for Chandra to take the damage. Yep. Chandra's done her job already. Got to attack the Bone Crusher Giant here, haven't you? Yep. Yeah, able to answer to Fairy. Don't want to give our opponent an opportunity to draw out of it. Can just answer Gideon here as well. Oof. Do we want to just answer Gideon? I don't think so. I think we're just happy to keep ticking up. And yeah, the combination of Chandra and Nico Bolas, the yeah, some of my favourite planeswalkers and characters in Magic. Taking down a Jeskai here. It's interesting because when building the Grixis list, I wasn't sure on its matchup against Jeskai. Because Jeskai seems to be the go-to control list this season at the moment. Okay, tucking Chandra. But yeah, it looks like we have an okay matchup. But yeah, we just get to flip Nico Bolas here, which is just amazing. Yeah, well, don't need to stack. Let's look at our opponent's got going on. They got 1 mana. Brainstorm. But yeah, opponent's just dead here, aren't they? I guess, yeah, opponent's just dead. I don't know what I'm thinking. So yeah, just take Brainstorm. Just flip Nico Bolas and then tick up, draw 2, draw into our Bone Crusher Giant, and yeah, shock our opponent. And then opponent dies in upkeep. We know they've got nothing in hand. I guess upkeep you can cycle your trio. Maybe you hit something that counters all triggered abilities on the stack. But looks like opponent couldn't find it. Sweet, yeah. I think we got to play the whole shebang that game, didn't we? Got both our Nico Bolas down, our Chandra. Got to flip Nico Bolas. Pretty good. Everything Grixis wants to do. Okay, so on the play with some Grixis midrange / control, and I think we're going to mulligan this hand away. We're missing blue mana, which isn't necessarily an issue, but our first play is turn 4, so probably a little bit too late, and this hand looks amazing compared to the last one. I think we're probably just going to have to put this cling on the bottom. Display Inquisition on turn 1, I guess. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think we'll put Cling on the bottom. Not sure the order we want to sequence this. I think because Thoughtseize and Inquisition is such a big thing, we probably just want to Inquisition our opponent turn 1. Oof. Against like... Oh, I'm not even sure what we're against. Can actually take a land from our opponent if we wanted to. We can play around Censor. Could just take one of our opponent's lands here. Could take Memory Lapse. I'm debating between Shatter Skull Smashing and Memory Lapse. I think we're going to leave the Censors in hand. I'm going to be scared of this Chandra. I actually think it might be correct just take a land, but I'm going to take Memory Lapse just because no one likes being time locked. Hindsight's 2020, but we should have put Crux on the bottom, knowing that our opponent's on a control list. It's like Temur, maybe 4 color. Sweet, that was a good draw. Not that we're doing much with our mana, but just getting the Mind Stone down turn 2 is always good. Could have been an argument actually to hold this and put this on red. Maybe we should have just waited a turn on the the Inquisition, so he had availability to red mana. We're not going to cycle the Mind Stone as well. We'll hold on to it for a little bit. Opponent's just going to cycle both these sensors. It's also the reason not to take the Shatter Skull Smashing. Just because our opponent can cycle. Not sure what our opponent's up to entirely, but I definitely think it's worth taking the damage. Okay, so punish to the max. We should have put the pathway on red, I think. I'm not really sure what our opponent's up to. Just like ramping into Chandra. Okay, gonna main phase Growth Spiral. Okay, no extra land to put into play. This might be the last time we take damage, but... Yes. Yeah, no red mana, unfortunately. Can't play Nicobolas out. Which, obviously, we 100% would be playing Nicobolas out here. Could play around Sensor. Opponent's missing lands, though. Yeah, you got to imagine that this is going to find them some lands, at least one. But I don't think Chandra's that threatening. Without other pressure, like, we're not running that many counter spells. We just get to Blood Cheese first. Her. I think we can probably sack the Mind Stone now. Since we can still play around Sensor this way. Oh, opponent didn't find any lands. Yeah, we still get to play around Sensor if we find a red source. And I don't really want to take 6 damage. Fallen to 5 might be a little bit cheeky. Okay, tapped red mana. Tapped red mana is red mana. Yeah, unfortunately we just got like a fat load of nothing happening at the moment. Opponent's taking a second, but getting around to it. Yeah, got all the growth spirals in the world, but just no lands to put into play, it looks like it. Opponent got one. So yeah, could see a Chandra here. Opponent found land. Nope. So I guess we're just going to play Nicobolas here, tick up, and go along that plan. Haven't got a second red for Glorybringer, so we haven't really got an option as to what we can do. And yeah, pretty happy we stopped activate. I mean, we could play Glorybringer now if we wanted to. I think it's probably better just to get the card advantage flowing. Opponent could have a memory lapse. But what can you do at that point? Like, we can't really play around memory lapse. Sweet. Yeah, Clothis in the main deck. Wondering what opponent's up to. They might be on like Temur Burn or something. I'm not sure. Which is why they're running Chandra. Or they might be on some sort of just Temur Control list looking to burn you out with Clothis and Chandra just in the late game. 2 threats that are relatively difficult to answer. Yeah, opponent maybe gonna 3-for-1 themselves to answer this. But I guess exiling the second Clothis isn't really a 2-for-1 because our opponent doesn't need it. Opponent's just being like very, very unfortunate not to find lands. Guess we'll take the Censor at the very least. It's like a card draw. Our opponent might even cycle it now, just to see if they can hit their land for Chandra next turn. Yeah, we'll take that Censor. Not worried about Anger of the Gods. And then, yeah, plan just to smack our opponent down here. I'm not sure how effective this plan is going to be since our opponent's gaining 2 life a turn. But we'll do the best we can. Yeah, here we go. Not sure how our opponent's going to choose to play this. Okay, they're going to choose to just give us an emblem. Kind of makes sense. We do have an answer to this, but between Clothis and this thing is free a turn. So it might be a little bit too much to handle here. I think we're going to be just slightly too slow. Really need like a Vraska's Contempt, I guess. Maybe like hindsight's 2020, but we should have played Glorybringer before Nicol Bolas. Just to get the extra damage, but yeah, I don't know how relevant that's going to be. Sweet, yeah, not much we can do here. I mean, we can take out the Bone Crusher Giant. Yeah, we can play land, answer the Bone Crusher Giant, but between the Chandra Emblem and the Clothis, it's just going to kill us next turn. If we had 1 less card in hand... yeah, if we had 1 less card in hand, then we maybe could have activated Castle to see if we can find a Vraska's Contempt. Ah, opponent had the memory lapse. Sweet, yeah, because even to target the Bone Crusher Giant here is going to kill us. Yeah. Pretty much GG. Sweet, let's move on to the next game. Looks like our opponent's probably just on some sort of teamer list. Maybe sort of controlling. Ether Gust, I'd imagine, is going to be good. Negate and Mystical Dispute. Crux of Fate probably not going to be amazing here. Kind of just sideboarding similar to how we sideboarded before against Jeskai. I almost feel like we don't need the Mystical Dispute. Opponent's probably going to have some counter magic after boarding though, but they're not on Dovin's veto, so Dispute will still be good. Maybe just cutting like a Glorybringer. I guess we want to bring in our Chandras if our opponent's going to have counter magic. Tough. I think maybe just cut all the Glorybringers. So no red mana, but red's one of our main colours, so we should be able to find it relatively soon, hopefully. And double Mind Stone's going to be good. It is a bit of a shame Mind Stone doesn't help us cast our Nicol Bolas Dragon God, but I think it's fine. Helps us cast everything else in the list. And red mana was excellent pickup there. Just want to keep drawing lands, I think, until we can cast the Dragon God, and then want to stop drawing lands at that point. I'm not sure if we want to shock something, but I still think we're going to hold up Bone Crusher Giant anyway. There could be an argument to sacking one of these Mind Stones. Maybe we do want to sack one of them, actually, just to try and hit lands. We don't really want to miss out on lands, especially when we're trying to cast a Dragon God. I think one's probably enough. Memory Lapse, probably the worst card here. Or the best card our opponent could have. Censor. Forever wishing we kept that last Vine Stone. Feel like just contempting this. Especially since Nico Bolas just dies to Chandra. Don't want to let him untap with Chandra as well, and then plus to add mana to cast 6 mana Chandra. Oof. When a land enters, exile the top card of your library, and you may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. At the end step, if there are cards exiled, put them into your graveyard, and then it deals that much damage. Yeah, just going for another one, I guess. Exploration is good. Really good with Fable Passage. Works really well, actually. I guess Fable Passage, they get to sack it now, get to exile with Exploration, but the card doesn't go away until their end step. Oh, 4 mana Chandra. Oof. Just get to answer Nico Bolas here. I guess we get to Bone Crusher Giant them. Yeah, just stomp now, I think. No reason to wait. And then, yeah, hold up the negate. Hopefully we get some use out of it. And get to follow up Nico Bolas next turn. But yeah, going to be... Oof. Yeah, I mean, let's go for it. And then we get to just Nico Bolas next turn. Yeah, obviously our opponent's going to put that on top. Ooh, I don't know if opponent wanted to do that. Yeah, oops, indeed. I don't think that was what they wanted to do there. Yeah, I think Chandra's probably one of their better cards. But yeah, happy for us, obviously. Opponent made a mistake. Shouldn't have done that. Fortunately, one of the main problems about being in Grixis is that we don't have answers to enchantments outside of Chaos Warp, which I don't think we've brought in Chaos Warp. So our opponent's going to get all the activations of the exploration. So that means Nico Bolas's plus ability is going to take quite a bit longer to really go to work. But opponent's got a load of ways to trigger it. I really like it. Probably something the team has got that other controllers don't necessarily have. Unfortunately, this is a creature, technically. Okay, so opponent does not have an answer to Nico Bolas, so we're just going to get to keep activating here. And Chandra is going to be excellent. Gonna do it this way instead, and then shock in and hold up the negate. Might be wrong because opponent's got Clophus to be taking unnecessary damage. But I think it's probably right holding up the negate, just so we've got an answer to something that they try to... If they try and answer Nico Bolas. Yeah, opponent, you can have a redraw. Have another one. Yeah, I think I'm just going to stop our opponent here. Opponent gets to look at 3 cards. It gets 2 of them, so it is kind of like a 2-for-1. I am a little bit worried about our life total. We're going to have to close the game quite quickly. Probably just sacking both of these Mind Stones here just to draw. See what we find. Might even be correct. I actually think, yeah, I actually made a mistake last turn. It would have been correct to use Nico Bolas's ability to tick up using Chandra. So use Nico Bolas's plus ability, use his like, passive to do a +2 instead. So we could have won the game this turn. I guess, is this a legendary? It's a legendary enchantment at the moment, so it doesn't count. Yeah, we're not that greedy. We do have a second swamp. Opponent's finding a lot of lands, but you got to imagine they're on like near enough 30 lands. Oh, that's a goodie. I assume our opponent's just going at face here. Has trample? No. Opponent could have given it trample. Probably correct just to give it haste. And we'll sack the other Mind Stone. Just need to find something here. But yeah, we should have ticked up Nico Bolas last turn. Using Chandra's ability. Are we doing the same now, or do we rather just draw? Probably rather just draw now we've made the mistake. And we are assembling all of the Planeswalkers. Let's tick up, and it's quite likely that we're just going to burn our opponent here. Oh, actually, no. Forget that. We'll put that Clothis. Yeah, I think just put the Clothis so we get to dodge a trigger. Opponent puts on bottom. I guess we'll look at our opponent's hand now in case they've got another Clothis in hand. Oh, no! We're going to take some damage here. No instant speed removal spell. Oh. Yeah, if our opponent finds a stomp or something. Oh, no! I guess our opponent can only give one of them haste. Do they have to go at Nico Bolas here? I think our opponent has to go Nico Bolas. They were missing 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah, so they were missing one extra land, I think. Double green. Oh, I guess they were actually missing green mana as well. But yeah, we were very, very close to death there. That would have been really disappointing. So how do we want to sideboard? Maybe like Chaos Warp is a good answer. Let's bring that out and bring that in and just spin the wheel. We'll see. I'm not sure what else we're cutting. Maybe like a command. Yeah, maybe go down Bone Crusher Giant. It's probably one of the worst cards in our list. Yeah, definitely have to mulligan a 1-lander. And we can keep this. Missing blue mana, but I think that'll be fine. Probably get rid of the Mystical Dispute knowing that we're missing blue mana. Prismari Commander hopefully ramp us into something. Yeah, when I said Bone Crusher Giant is one of the worst cards on our list, I mean in this matchup. It's probably one of the stronger cards on our list. In a void. Okay, it's just mountain. Okay, so we did find blue mana. There's nothing we're really scared of turn 2, is there? Just get down our tap land. Okay, so Memory Lapse or Sensor. We'll play around them. We'll play around Sensor, I guess. Memory Lapse. So next turn we'll probably just go Mind Stone into Inquisition. Opponent's got some goodies. Opponent's got some really good goodies. Probably take the Brazen Borrower, just a little bit of a 2-for-1. Not really scared of the Scorching Dragonfire. I am scared of the Shifting Ceratops, but if our opponent decides to play it next turn, they're missing lands, but if they do find a land and decide to play it, then at least we can just play Chandra, tick down on it. So, if it was a land, so opponent can make a land. I actually wonder if we just hold up negate Prismari command here, because we probably want to play Chandra to tick down on the Shifting Ceratops. Well, probably shouldn't have shocked that in. I was for some reason assuming we had double blue. Okay, opponent chose not to make a land, not to make a mana. It's because they had one. So I might just draw 2 here, discard 2, and make a treasure. Yeah. Yeah, let's draw and make treasure. Probably... Yeah, so we can Chandra minus from the Shifting Ceratops, and then Thoughtseize the Dragonfire out of our opponent's hand if we want to. Or could hold up negate. Either one works. Don't know why that's doing it like that. So yeah, go like this. Take the Dragonfire just so we can... And we'll play this, and just so they can't immediately answer our Chandra. They might draw a land or an answer to it, but we'll do what we can. And maybe with an extra draw of Chandra each turn, we'll be able to get out of this. Clothis is quite a clock, especially for something like Grixis that can't answer it very easily. Need our Chaos Warp, but there's every opportunity, there's every chance that if you Chaos Warp a Clothis, our opponent could come out with something bigger and scarier.
Yep, you're going down.
Yeah, I think we can go like this. And go like that first. And then probably just end step the Clothis if we want to. We'll take the hit this turn because we want to hold up the Aether Gust in case our opponent has something big. But yeah, in the end step, we'll just put this Clothis either on top or bottom of our opponent's library. Like that. Probably wanna answer that Chandra. Assume our opponent just puts this back on top. And then watch them play a land. No, sure. Tick up. Just deal some damage. Do we want to sack? I guess if we find Nicobolas, we can still cast him. Just another Mind Stone. So I assume our opponent just like plays Chandra and maybe ticks down on the Bone Crusher Giant. I'm not sure. Like Vraska's Contempt here for a little bit of passive life gain. Yeah, Clover's just like the life gain on it is just as bad. Because we're going to take it 4 a turn with Chandra's activation. So I guess let's tick up. Just deal damage. Let's have a look at what our opponent's got going on. Oh no. So our opponent can't give haste. I think we have to kill Chandra here. We are just dead, I think, though. Our opponent gets to exile their own Fable Passage here to make a mana. Okay, they're not going to, because you could just exile your own Fable Passage to... Oh, no way, his opponent found it. To make a mana to cast a Shifting Ceratops and give it haste. And then I think you just hit us here. And then we're either dead to Chandra. Oh, I mean, sorry. For some reason, I thought I had 4 power. Yeah, dead anyway. Yeah, not too much we could have done there. Maybe there was a way to get out of that, but I think difficult situation. But pretty sick to see some Temur control. Interesting to see that. Yeah, the mix of shifting Ceratops for the control mirror when you think your opponent might have counter magic, and then just really good value cards like Chandra. And Clothos was actually a real pain, and it was sweet to see Valakut Exploration in play, because this was something that in the landfall list, I think you just played this when you played either Mutate or something, but I think this was more of a standard all-star, or just quite good in standard. So yeah, pretty sweet to see it in historic. I'd wonder how this list would do against something like Gruul. Doesn't look like it has a ton of interaction early outside of like maybe Scorching Dragonfire, but nevertheless, opponent's list is sweet. Howdy guys, cheers for making it to the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching some more Grixis Control / Midrange, however you want to call it. It's like a little bit of both. It's probably just on the cusp of what you would call mid-range or control. But how do we think Grixis did overall? And in my opinion, I think it did really well. I think we went 2-2 overall, so not an amazing record, but I actually think the Gruul matchup, we have a better matchup than how that went down a lot of the time. I think in testing at least, and the last time we played Grixis, it's actually quite good. Between the Vraska's Contempt and Cling to Dust, we actually have some passive life gain, and then our opponent can't just attack us all of the time like they would in Jeskai or Azorius, because we have some beefy creatures that we can put out to block the way. And then we have tons of interaction just with like Blood Chiefs First, Vraska's Contempt, Thoughtseizes, Inquisition, and then that late game card advantage that's like filling Teferi's slot with Bolas, the Dragon God, is still there. So yeah, pretty good. The only thing we are missing is maybe like more board wipes, but you saw in one of the matchups, we had like 3 draws to find a land for our Crux of Fate, and we just didn't find that land. Could have been any colour, just an untapped land would have been great. We just didn't do that. So kind of unfortunate in that regard, and it would have been really good actually. We had the Ravager down, so the Ravager would have survived, and our opponent would have lost their entire board, and then we would have hopefully closed the game as quickly as possible after that. But the list, like, that being said, like, it feels like a really strong list. It feels okay, and it does feel viable if you are trying to climb to Mythic, or even if you were in Mythic, but it's probably, in my opinion, not as strong as Jeskai at the moment, but I don't know really how much that is saying, because it really depends on what you're against and how you play the list, and it's ultimately like what you enjoy playing. So if you enjoy playing more like tap-down mid-range control, and you enjoy the Bolas, the Ravager, and the Dragon God, then this is probably the list for you. It is really sweet to play. It was fun. And there was a few games we actually assembled, like both Planeswalkers. We got Chandra out of the board, and Bolas ended up flipping him in one of the games. So yeah, it's super fun. If probably not as competitive as Jeskai, it's still like really enjoyable to play. So that's my take on the matter. You guys can leave your comments down below on what you guys think, and let me know whether you think this is the right direction that Grixis should be taking, because I think there's loads of different ways that you can decide to take Grixis. You can go down the counterspell heavy route, as like Jeskai and Azorius does, or you can lean more into the way I've decided to go with like creatures, because I think that's where Grixis really shines. It has some really powerful and potent threats. And I've actually been really impressed with Bolas, the Ravager. In previous metas, he hasn't felt too strong. But yeah, in this meta, he feels pretty good at the moment. A 4-mana 4/4 flyer is really good stats that always 2-for-1s your opponent. And then, yeah, for 7 mana, he will just win the game for you. So pretty powerful in that regard. But yeah, that is the list. I hope you guys enjoyed watching some Grixis Control. And until next time, stay safe.